starting my semi-regular walks of the previous year, walking across the Lowe's parking lot, past the Raymore and Flanagan's Furniture, and eventually over past the IKEA as well. You can kind of see that once you get out of the little road, access road that cuts between the various parking lots, things empty out, but get a little bit chaotic as well. When you're walking through this big expanse, as you can see that car kind of ahead of us, no one really expects there to be a body walking by itself. And so it's worth always keeping an eye out for any cars that are cutting over across the various parking spaces. Anyone who's sort of just slowly moving through the space too can have, you're just sort of texting or looking around. I see a few people, it's like two people ahead of me who are cutting across as well. Other Voyagers in this space. So now we're behind the Longhorn Steakhouse. Soon we'll be cutting behind the Wendy's. And this is sort of an interesting borderline. When you're crossing over from the Lowe's territory to the IKEA territory, suddenly you get this really remarkably smooth asphalt. And also a lot more quickly moving cars. This is sort of a regular sight. These are sort of spaces that people take their cars to, kind of idle and sit, a little bit of private moment when they're in between shopping trips or maybe on break from work. I think, again, it has to do with just like really not expecting to have any person just stroll past you, right? Like you're already private in your car, but then you have your car parked, in a spot like this. And it's not a space that anyone really pays attention to. Everyone's going to be focused on going to the actual store or getting out. So it's sort of a strange pseudo-private space. So here the cars start picking up, and I'm actually going to stroll over to the left rather than cut right in front of the IKEA. You can see we're getting close to the back of the Chick-fil-A. And doing a walk like this, or a project like this, it does really stress me out. I'm always a little concerned about who's watching me. I know that I'm kind of watching this space in a way that's not always how it's enacted with, but it does feel like I draw attention to myself, even if I'm not. I think people see me and they have a momentary thought of like, shouldn't be a person there. That's kind of a strange thing to have someone walking there, and then I stop thinking about it. But sort of at every moment it feels like I'm in a space that at any point in time I could just get creamed over. Up there in the distance you can see it's a old Pier 1 that's been, as is the law of nature in these spaces, transitioned into a spirit Halloween. This is a law as old as time. If there's empty space, the spirit Halloween will fill it. So now we're crossing between the IKEA and about to hit the Five Below and the Vision Works. So kind of taking a moment to look around. There's some multicolored balls outside the Five Below, and I'm seeing a red palette, a blue palette, a non-colored palette, It's really not that exciting. There's not a lot to see, not even a lot of language to pick up. I sort of thought there might be more. It's really just trying to figure out where to put your feet. These diagonal white lines seem as good a place as any to be walking, but really, certainly not meant for me. Maybe kind of a couple rose bushes. I'm gonna actually walk through this little mulch area. They look okay. They look kind of new. So there's sort of a great example of a moment where people are just thinking, what is this guy doing in my way? So it's sort of at an impasse now. This sort of gets to be the end of this particular walk. You show up at the Best Buy, Dollar Tree, and now Spirit Halloween. And we get a nice little concluding shot of what looks to be a big, dominant gull, surrounded by little juvenile ones that are taking turns eating, well, it looks like a pizza slice, I think. Good for them. Anyways, that's it for this particular walk, and talk to you soon.